there's a truth few dare to face. Leaving a narcissist is not the end. It's merely the beginning of a complex psychological journey, not just for you, but for them as well. When you walk away, you're not simply leaving a toxic relationship. You're unknowingly triggering the collapse of an ego built on illusion control and a desperate need for admiration. In today's video, we're going to peel back every layer of the narcissist's mask after losing their most precious supply, you. From denial, explosive rage, manipulative bargaining, and the deep emptiness that follows to desperate attempts to pull you back in, and finally the reluctant acceptance of reality. But behind each stage lies a hidden truth that most never see. Don't take your eyes off this video, because what you're about to hear won't just help you understand the narcissist, it will help you better understand your own healing journey. Hit subscribe if you've ever been hurt by a toxic relationship. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of healing ahead. We'll walk this road to the end together. When you leave, they might smile. They might pretend not to care. They might post a cheerful photo or a cryptic status update as if you were nothing more than a passing shadow. But don't let that facade fool you. Deep down, the cracks have already begun to form. It's not the usual kind of missing someone. It's an internal earthquake, because the mirror they once used you to reflect their ego has shattered. The first stage a narcissist enters isn't remorse, it's denial. They refuse to accept the loss, not because of genuine love, but because losing you means losing control. You were their source of validation, the living proof of the perfect image they so carefully crafted. Now that you're no longer there, their world begins to crumble. But instead of facing it, they choose to live in delusion. You'll come back. You can't live without them. They repeat these scripts like a painkiller for their bleeding ego. Because if they dared to admit that you left, not because you were weak, but because you were strong enough to break the chains, they'd have to face the one thing they fear most, the truth. And that truth is too brutal for an ego built on illusion to handle. But denial doesn't last forever. And when the mask begins to crack, what erupts isn't tears, it's rage. The narcissist's anger isn't just an emotional outburst. It's a survival response, like a wounded animal ready to lash out at anyone who comes close. They're not angry because you were wrong. They're angry because you touched the most sensitive nerve of all, a rejected ego. That ego cannot stand not being the center anymore. And so they attack with words, with silence, with lies, even with tactics meant to damage your reputation. Don't confuse this with love. This is war, a war to reclaim the power they lost. But do you know what truly terrifies them the most? Not your tears, not the pleas you once whispered. What terrifies them is your silence right now. The fact that you no longer react, you no longer argue, you no longer try to convince them. That calmness to a narcissist is the unspoken end, because when you're silent, they know they've truly lost you. Part 1. When the mirror shatters, the beginning of the narcissist's psychological crisis. Do you know what happens to a mirror when it no longer has a reflection to hold? It becomes meaningless. And that is exactly how a narcissist feels when they lose their supply. The person who often unknowingly played the role of a mirror for their ego. When you walk out of their life, what you leave behind is not just an empty space. You leave a void, a dark abyss where they once filled everything with admiration, control, and self-validation. In their eyes, you were not just a lover, a spouse, or a partner. You were the mask they wore every day to escape their distorted self and inner emptiness. So when you leave, what collapses is not just a relationship, it's the entire psychological defense system they've built their whole life around. At first, they cannot and will not accept it. They deny it. They rewrite the story in a way that keeps them blameless. It might sound like she's crazy or he never appreciated me. They turn the loss into someone else's fault. Because if they were to accept the truth that someone was strong enough to leave them, then the entire illusion of I can't be rejected that their identity is built on would shatter like glass. This denial is not a sign of strength. On the contrary, it's the mark of extreme fragility. They are wrestling with a reality they cannot control, and that is the worst thing for a narcissist, the loss of power. Part 2. When rage erupts, the survival instinct, disguised as hatred. Once the layer of denial fails, what comes next is rage, intense, chaotic, and destructive. But this is no ordinary heartbreak anger. This is primal, a survival instinct emerging from the deepest parts of the psyche. Because to a narcissist, your departure is not the loss of a person. It's the loss of living proof of their worth. This rage comes cloaked in many forms. Verbal attacks meant to humiliate, slander, or discredit you. Provocative actions that trample the boundaries you're trying to build. And even emotional violence through silence, manipulation, or veiled threats. They're not angry because they love you. They're angry because they cannot believe you dared to do what they thought you never would reject them. To them, it is the ultimate betrayal not of love, but of hierarchy. Because in a narcissist's world, you are never allowed to leave first. Only they have the power to discard. Part 3. When fake regret wears the mask of love, the stage of toxic compromise. And then when their rage fails to pull you back, they shift to another tactic: compromise. This is the stage when you might start receiving messages like, "I miss you. I was wrong, I'll change. Without you, I'm nothing." At first glance, those words seem emotional, sincere, even capable of stirring a heartbeat of hope within you. But pause for a moment. Think back when they loved you. How did they treat you? When they hurt you, did they ever truly feel remorse? A narcissist's version of compromise doesn't come from awareness or repentance. It's a strategy, a calculation, a bet that says if I say exactly what they want to hear, I can bring them back to the chessboard where I still control the game. Don't mistake this temporary vulnerability for love, because their goal isn't to rebuild something new. It's to reclaim their former position of dominance at any cost. Part 4. Depression and emptiness. When the throne crumbles and no one cares. After the storm of rage has passed, after the pleading cloaked in sweet nothings has faded, comes a stage even more terrifying: silence. But this time, the silence isn't from you, it's from them. This is when the narcissist falls into depression, not the kind that leads to insight or genuine remorse, but a deep, hollow emptiness, a darkness no spotlight can reach. You see, for so long, the narcissist lived like the star of a play they wrote themselves, and you were the devoted audience. You clapped when they succeeded. You apologized when they were hurt. You made sacrifices to keep them happy. But when you walk out of that theater, when the lights dim and the stage is bare, what remains is the echo of a monologue performed to no one. And in that echo, they realize no one ever truly stayed to love them for real. But don't get your hopes up. The pain they feel doesn't stem from lost love. It stems from the terror of being forgotten, the fear that the world no longer revolves around them, that they're no longer special, and for an ego that lives and dies by external validation that is the worst punishment imaginable. Depression in a narcissist isn't like in others. There's no self-reflection, no desire to heal or change. It's a dramatic collapse. I am nothing if no one is watching me. And because of that, they begin to plan something even more dangerous. Part 5. Hoovering. When they come back, not to love, but to drain you. One more time. You think it's over, that their prolonged silence means they've finally let go. Be careful, because when a narcissist sinks into depression, they won't let the emptiness consume them quietly. They will return, but in a different form, the one who came back for love. This stage is known in psychology as hoovering, like a vacuum cleaner. The narcissist tries to suck you back in by any means necessary, and they'll be dangerously persuasive. A heartfelt message. How are you? I just wanted to know if you're okay. A shared photo from the past with the caption, "That day was beautiful, wasn't it?" A coincidental appearance at a place you frequent as if it were fate. None of this is about rekindling real love. It's a test to see if they still have power over you, if they can still control your emotions, if they can still make you flutter, falter, soften, just like before, and once they see you hesitate, they'll double down on their love. But don't confuse that intensity with genuine healing. It's just another round of the same old game where the prize is total control, just like before. If you return the same toxic cycle, restarts love, manipulation, blame, pain, panic, departure, return. A cycle that never leads to real love only brings you back to the very place you once fought so hard to escape. Part 6. Half-hearted acceptance. When they're forced to let go but still quietly plot a return. Eventually, when every tactic fails, when you stop reacting, stop wavering, stop melting, the narcissist begins to pretend to accept it. I say pretend because for a narcissist, acceptance is never true. Surrender. It's a new strategy, a ceasefire to tend their wounds. They retreat, heal their injured ego, and wait for the next opening. To outsiders, they may appear normal again. They may fall in love with someone new. They may build a new life. But remember, narcissists don't change easily. They're merely restructuring the ego, building another castle stronger, this time waiting for the moment they can re-enter your life if you let your guard down. Part 7. When you become what they never dared to face and what they'll never forget. After all the spirals of denial, rage, bargaining, depression, and hoovering, a quiet truth begins to surface. They've lost you forever. But to the narcissist, loss is not just an event. It's a wound that never heals. Because you weren't just a lover, a friend, or a passing chapter. You were living proof, someone who saw them clearly, both their light and darkness, and still loved them. And because you loved them with a real heart, your departure leaves a void no new supply can ever fill. Others may blindly admire them, others may submit without question, but no one else had the courage to see past the masks the way you did. Deep down, the narcissist knows this. They know you were real, and everything after you is just a faded echo of a memory that can never return. They'll never admit it. They'll pretend to forget. But they never truly will. Because you didn't just leave, you woke up. And that makes you the greatest threat their ego has ever known. When you walk away, it's not just an ending. It's the beginning of a greater journey. And now, if you've stayed with me until the very end of this video, I want you to know one thing. You are doing what the narcissist never expected you to do, facing the truth, confronting the pain, and choosing to move forward for yourself. You see, in the narcissist's eyes, you were nothing more than an extension of them, a mirror reflecting their distorted ego. But now you no longer reflect anything that belongs to them. You've become a mirror for your own soul, learning to look into your wounds, not to let them define you, but to allow them to lead you to rebirth. And if you've ever felt confused, wondering why they reacted the way they did, the denial, the rage, the bargaining, the manipulation, the pull, and the cold withdrawal, now you have your answer. It was never love. It was a series of desperate reactions from an ego clinging to the illusion of control. You don't need to save them. You don't need to make them understand. Because healing doesn't begin when someone else changes. It begins when you stop waiting for them to. The beautiful thing is, you didn't let the wound make you bitter. You didn't let the pain close your heart. Instead, you chose courage. You chose truth. You walked away, not with hatred, but with gratitude for finally recognizing your own worth. You are not just someone who was hurt. You are someone who is healing. And that journey, though exhausting at times, is the path walked only by the strongest souls. If this video helped you see things more clearly, if it made you feel understood, or even just reminded you that you're not alone on this road to recovery, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We still have so much to uncover, so many layers of narcissistic psychology to peel back, and so many powerful tools for healing waiting for you to discover. You deserve a love that's unconditional, unmanipulative, and unthreatening. You deserve a life that is free, empowered, and radiant, Not for anyone else, but because you are you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video where truth is no longer hidden and you never have to walk this path alone again.